Hello, Sarah here. I'm here to have another conversation for the sake of ourselves. So I started continuing the conversation about judgment because there's lots more to talk about judgment, and I think there's a lot of value to dig in deeper. But what I realized is there's another conversation that would make quite a difference before we jump into kind of the intricate charged spaces or where reactions might live, or where we might kind of get a bit wavery or chaotic or a lot of stuff coming at us. And that conversation is a conversation about, where did you source yourself? It's quite a significant conversation. And it's a conversation that can make a really great difference in anybody's life, so that they can have clarity of where are they coming from? What are they up to? What kind of human are they interested and invested in being? So, the relationship with yourself is part of sourcing yourself. When you say the relationship that I have with myself matters, and I'm out to have, this particular type of relationship with myself, that's one place you get to source yourself. That's one place you get to locate yourself and come back to and come from and ground yourself in, so that you have some navigation and compass to go through whatever you're inside of. So, if something were to happen, one of the best first questions is to say and ask yourself, who am I for myself? How do I promise to treat myself? What relationship am I out to have with myself? That's a really great source point and a place to source yourself from. And, we can deepen that, and we can expand that, and we can build ourselves even a wider base to source ourselves from and to come from, and give ourselves quite a navigation system that we build a practice with. When we first do this, it is just a practice. It's, we're going to make lots of mistakes. We're not going to be the things that we're going to be. We're going to not know how to do it, how to fulfill on it. But by doing the preparatory work of taking a look at these questions and taking a look at, who am I as a human? What kind of human do I want to be? Who am I for myself? Who am I for the people around me? Who am I for this world? Is there any kind of energetic legacy that I want to leave in this world? Is there any, how do I want to leave the environment around me as I walk through my day and go through my day and go through my life? Because we actually have quite a say of who we are, how we show up. Doesn't always occur like we have a say. This is why it is a practice. But the more we're inside of something for ourselves that we've created, that we have said, we actually get to true up to it. And we actually get to start to know ourselves as that. We get to, have evidence of ourselves showing up as that. We get to create a life around us being that. Now, this conversation, again, isn't anything about bypassing. This isn't to change yourself or alter yourself or to be somebody that you're not. This isn't about, there's some ideal, societal, familial way to be, and you're trying to be a should version of yourself. No, this is you taking a real look at your essence, your being, your nature, what moves you, what inspires you, what just fills you up and fills your cup and would leave you satisfied. What kind of human would you like to be? What kind of human would you like to know yourself as? How would you love the people around you, to interact with you or to know you or to be left and impacted by you? We have a lot of say in our energy. We have a lot of say in the human that we are. We have a lot of say in the being that we are. And when we can get really clear and concise on who are we as a human and what are we up to as a human and what matters to us as a human, again, it gives us a navigation system. It gives us a guidance system. It gives us a compass system to navigate our terrain and to know where we're coming from and to know how to respond. Because I don't know about you, often, when we're there in an environment and stuff is happening and maybe we're around people that we're getting activated with, it can get really loud and chaotic. It can get really unclear of, where do I come from? And our reaction can win the day in those kind of situations. And again, nothing is wrong with our reaction. Actually, a lot of our reactions are communication. Behavior and reactions and our patterns is a lot of communication that is really great communication for us to take in. And we also get a say of what wins the day around us. We also get to get a say to develop muscles and skills so we have more of a say of what wins the day around us. We can develop ourselves as a human and become the human that's like our favorite version of ourselves, and not the perfect version of ourselves, but the favorite version of ourselves, the version of ourselves that does make our hearts sing, that does have a smile when we go and drift off to sleep, that does, like, if we were to be on our deathbed, that we'd be really satisfied and fulfilled by. That favorite self of us that, we know we leave a energy forwarding imprint going forward, and there's a bit of legacy left around you just, in the environment you are and the human you are. And why not? Because, there's enough going on in the world. Like, we get actually a say to impact and influence ourselves and the world around us and the environment around us. So that was a lot to say. The conversation we're out to have today is a conversation about sourcing ourselves and creating a place to source ourselves. Each of us will have our own belief systems, and, you might have spirituality or religion. You might be an atheist. Like, it really doesn't matter what your belief system is here. We're talking about utilizing our mechanics of our human systems here to be at our disposal so that we can cultivate ourselves and we can, be the creator of our lives. We can be in the driver's seat, and we can have a say in our satisfaction and our fulfillment and our accomplishment. And we can have a say of, who we are, how we are, and what we are, and how we operate. So, regardless of what your belief system is, this is something that goes hand in hand because we're human, and these are, the systems that we have and what we can utilize our systems for. So, okay, here we are. We're going to start the conversation of sourcing ourselves. So we started already with the conversation of who are you for yourself and how do you promise to treat yourself? Because that's really the initial place to start. So I'm making the assumption, the presumption that you have created a relationship with yourself. And if you haven't, I suggest you go back and watch some of those videos about who do you promise to be with yourself? How do you promise to treat yourself? You're worth it. Investing in yourself is worth it. And those kind of conversations to establish for you, what kind of relationship are you out to have with yourself? Wherever you go, there you are. It's the most important relationship you're going to have in your life, the relationship with yourself. And you can have it by default, which a lot of our default relationships with ourselves suck. Or you can have it an active conversation and a conscious conversation, an aware conversation, a conscious created conversation where you're consciously cultivating your relationship with yourself and tending the relationship with yourself and practicing the relationship with yourself. But it does start first with saying, what is the type of relationship I'm out to have with myself? Who am I for myself? How do I promise to treat myself? So I'm taking the assumption that you have created that. Me, I am for myself, a got my back, arms around, best friend. Somebody who meets myself right where I am with kindness, compassion, and understanding, and encourages me to reach my highest potential in any moment where love wins the day. And I get to rise and reach and be the human that I'm proud to be. So that's me and the relationship I'm out to have with myself. And you get to pick and create the relationship you're out to have with yourself. Maybe you're a bold explorer, an adventurer, and you want to have a daring relationship with yourself. You get to say the relationship with yourself that you're out to have because you're the creator of your life. And so once you have your relationship with yourself in hand, and again, this is something you might even want to do in a document, a source document, so that you have a touch point you can come back to again and again. This is a living document. This is something that you can alter, you can change. You're not locked into. You are the creator of your life. You get to say who you are, how you are, and what you are always. There are lots of, default ways that we already are, and we can actively address those default ways. We can heal inside of those default ways. We can grow inside of those default ways. We can learn new behaviors and new patterns. We have a lot of fluidity and flexibility, and we have a lot of room for growth. We are really designed for growth and learning and development. Like, all of our systems are fantastic compatibility for us to grow and expand. And so why don't we put some conscious effort into that and attention and focus? And what we put your attention on grows. So the more we put the attention on ourselves, and how are we growing ourselves? How are we tending ourselves? How are we developing ourselves? are really important questions to ask. And, you might find a whole bunch more questions I'm not even saying here, and go for it. Like, once you start an inquiry, it's just about asking yourself some questions, which usually leads to more questions. And it's great because we start to inquire and discover parts of ourselves, what's important to us, who we want to be, and more of our self-expression gets to get discovered and expressed and outputted and out loud. So, if you get inspired with another series of questions than what I'm asking here, add it in, and please go. You are the creator of your life. You are the director of your life, and you are the conductor. So go for it and take charge. These questions are just starting points of, starting points that I found helpful for myself, and where I have, created a source document and where I source myself from. And it's brought me a lot of a lot of joy and accomplishment and pride, and being proud of myself and who I am, and a lot of assuredness or confidence in showing up as who I am. And again, so not perfect. I can make lots of mistakes and not come from here, not always come from these spaces, but I'm like relatively reliable and consistent, that I actually get access to know myself as a creator of my life, know that I have a say, know that around me, I do have a say of what wins the day around me. And, I can, even if I make mistakes and I get messy, I can go in and I can repair and I can restore, and I can still cultivate the environment that matters to me. Generally speaking, we're all works in progress. But okay, so back to our source document. So there you are. Again, I recommend opening up a document and calling it like your name and source document. And first thing is my relationship with myself. I'm a promise to be, and write it in there. This is the promise you are to yourself, the kind of relationship you're to have with yourself, and you can expand on it and what it looks like. And then the next question I like to always ask, okay, so that's who you promise to be for yourself. Now, how do you want to promise to be around other people? Like, here you are this human, and you don't live in a silo. Most of us don't live off hermiting to ourselves. We really live in a community and an environment that has other people around. And some of those people are people that are really close to us. Some of those people are people that we more like our workmates or something that, by our schedule or by our common interest or what we're up to, we're around. And, we're around on a daily level with. Some people are just our community members. We might not even know them, but we're around them. Some people are total strangers and they're just random passerbyers. And we have lots of different types of people in our life. And, you might specifically want to be a specific way with each type of person, but just in a general level, like just as a human, like as here you are a human and we're in a human world, how do you want to know you show up to the people around you? How do you want to know yourself as? Like, who do you want to know yourself as? How do you want to treat the people around you? How, and you can also look, how do you like to be treated? How do you prefer to be treated? And again, not like it's any guarantee that just because you treat somebody the way you like to be treated, you're going to be treated that way. But it's a great place to start of, well, if you actually want to be treated in a certain way, doesn't it deem that's a great direction point of how you think you might want to be treating other people? So, how do you want to treat other people? Do you want to treat them with kindness? Do you want to treat them with respect? Do you want to treat them with generosity and understanding and compassion? Do you want to, how do you want to treat the people around you? How do you want to interact? Like if a stranger just came up to you, and again, not like you have to, step over yourself or be anything grandiose. This can just be the subtleties. Where do you want to come from? What, do you want to be skeptical, and do you want to be reserved, and do you want to be scared, and do you want to be held back? You might, I don't know. I personally don't find that overly energy forwarding. For me, I want to be generous. I want to see another human as another human. I want to be heart-centered. I want to be kind. I want to treat with respect. First, I definitely want to do no harm. At bare minimum, I want to first do no harm. Like that's one of my guiding principles is first do no harm. And, you get to say, who are you as this person and who are you as this human? And I really want to reiterate here too, that this isn't for any other purpose than for your own self, for your own relationship with yourself, and for a place to source from, or how you know yourself or how you interact with yourself. This isn't you're not doing this for any outward perception of yourself or to look any certain way. This isn't because you should be a certain kind of human or you want to be perceived as a certain kind of human. This is just you actually pausing and taking a look and getting really honest and authentic with yourself of, how do you want to know yourself as treating the people around you? How do you want your interactions to go? How do you, and maybe it's easier to start with the people that are close to you in your life, your family members or your partner or your friends or, the people that are dear to you. Like, how do you want to treat them? How do you want them left with around your energy? How do you want them to know, for them to know how you treat them? Like, what kind of interaction will fill your heart here? This isn't, again, about any outward perception or to look like some good guy or to good person or good girl or anything. This is about, what will have you sleep soundly at night? What's aligned with your values? What's aligned with your conscious creative self? If you do get the chance to design and develop yourself as a human, what would be worthwhile? What would be worth tending? So again, you're doing this for the sake of yourself right now. And again, it turns out to be for the sake of ourselves, because truthfully, we live in a certain world and we're passing by quickly, and it doesn't really seem like an overly kind world out there. It doesn't really seem like an overly attentive or conscious world out here. It generally seems like pretty by default and quick go. And, just a small pause of created self coming forward. And you get to say what that is, because again, there's no right way to be, but just a pause of, say, a present human around another person. You are then actually getting to be a space of, that moment right there, something created, not just something operating in default and reactions and busyness and hustle and bustle. So it's a chance to really cultivate, being now and present in the moment and actually cultivating your say in the environment around you and your say of how the environment around you goes. And when I say environment around you, it's the people around you, the interactions around you, the world that's happening around you. You actually have a lot of say in that and who you're going to be and how you're going to approach situations and how you're not going to approach situations. So, this is just a starting point for you to take a look at. What kind of human do you want to be? What kind of human do you want to know yourself as? Not a kind of human that you need to be seen as, because you know what? All of this might not be seen by other people. You're not doing this for a badge of honor. You're not doing this for any kind of kudos or credit. You're doing this because this feels good for you. You're doing this because then you, for yourself, know that you are showing up the human that makes you feel good and tickled and warm and it's the human that you're out to be and the human you're out to know yourself as. So again, don't make this about, other people looking good or any of that. This is just true to yourself, your true authentic self, taking a pause, being present so you can actually create this and how you would like it to be so that you can actually show up that way. I find personally, the more often we actually just pause and take a look and get clear on, who would we be and how would we be, how would we want to be, it really just offers us a pathway so that when we're actually in that situation, we have a place that we can come from. And then when we get to, more charged spaces or reactional spaces, when reactions are actually happening around you and you have an important person that's in front of you and you're in a reactive state, you've already kind of have a place to true yourself up from and a place to kind of hold some lines and bounds for yourself of, wait, this is the terrain I play in. This is the terrain I say I am. I treat people this way. And even in a reaction, even in a certain state, I'm still going to stay true or practice staying true or truing myself up to this terrain of how I say I'm going to treat people, because often our reactions can get the best of us. Our reactions can be big. And if something else isn't already created that we're out to have win the day, our reactions tend to be bigger and louder. So again, this part of doing this work now is giving you the terrain, giving you the grounding, giving you the place to source yourself from, so that what you want to win the day around you gets a fighting chance, so that you have more of a say in how you are and who you are in the environments around you, even when you're faced with circumstances and stuff comes up. Now, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be straightforward, and you're not always going to be it, and that's okay. But the more often that you're investing in it, you're aware of it, you're bringing some conscious awareness to it, some observational awareness to it, the more chance you have, the muscles that you're building, the more evidence you'll have for yourself and feedback that is something you want, that is worthwhile, and that does give you something back in return. I guess one but I could address too, because I don't know where you're at right now with this and how people occur for you. And I know I've had experience of some clients or friends or other people around me say, but people are jerks. Why do they deserve that? Why should I be any which way around someone? Why would I waste my time and energy? And it's interesting because, again, it's actually not for the other person. You saying how you're going to treat somebody actually isn't for the other person. Sure, they're going to get side benefit from it. And personally, I do think that, it's lovely benefits and worthwhile in itself personally. But really, if you want to just go even selfishly, and I don't look at selfish as a bad thing, I think we all need to look at ourselves, and we're here to take care of ourselves. We're here to tend our energy and to tend our environments. And our first and foremost job is taking care of ourselves. So, if we want to look from a self-oriented perspective, if we want to look over at ourselves and why this would have value, give it a thought. How do people occur to you? If people occur to you as something that you need to protect from, defend from, watch out from, and again, of course, there's a healthy level, bring your safety included. I'm always, talking with in mind. Again, taking great care of yourself includes, being safe and creating a safe environment for yourself always. But, generally speaking, how do you interact with the majority of people around you? Even the majority of relatively safe people that are around you. Do you tend to be pretty skeptical? Are people out to get you? Do you need, are people, I don't know, we have certain perceived perceptions of how we interact already with people. And really, people are just peopling. You're one of those people too. There you are. You're one of those people peopling. We all have a series of traits. We all have a whole life of experiences that have, accumulated to be this human that we are right now. There's so many dimensions of a person, and you're only getting a tiny fraction of an aspect of them in front of you. And, there you are, you go to interact with another human, and how you interact with them also sets up the tone for how they'll interact with you. And if you're somebody who's this or sharp or harsh, again, energy kind of is transferable. I don't know, that cues somebody else up into a certain state as it is, right? So, and then how is that for your energy? If you're always going around in a protected state or a sharp state or an aggravated state or a frustrated state or whatever kind of state that has a toll on your whole system. That again, that's that energy draining aspect. If we're just looking at energy forwarding and energy giving, coming from places of, more heart-centered places or open, generous, kind, or at least neutral observational places, at least don't have an energy cost on us moment to moment. So, from a self-oriented perspective, just for your own energy, it's worthwhile to, have some form of created way that you want to interact with people that, and I'm going to air quote it positive because I don't like to generally deem things positive or negative, but generally speaking, we'll say, treating people in a positive framework or with some kind of curiosity, openness, or heart center, kind, compassionate, understanding base, has a lot of value. And again, you do not have to give forward your energy. You don't have to give anything to that person. You can still have all the boundaries you want to have in the world. You can still, make sure, please, you're an autonomous being. Please make sure you advocate for yourself. You have agency for yourself. Doesn't mean you need to step over yourself in any way, shape, or form, or that person in front of you, takes any kind of precedent over you at all. No, that's not at all what this is about. Just from a self-oriented perspective, if you're going around putting a lot of energy in keeping a front, protection, distance, frustration, aggravation, noticing the negatives or protecting yourself from different things, there's just going to be a cost on you. There's just going to be a moment to moment cost on you. And then just that is a cost on you. And then if you are that to a person, like say you go in front of a person and you're just in like default fast mode, you're likely in some kind of reactive or agitated or flurried or chaotic or like not flat present now state. And in that cues up that in the other person, generally speaking. That person, again, might have a created way they treat somebody, so maybe they don't. But most people don't come from active spaces with each other. Most people do come from default spaces with each other. So, if you're then up with somebody who's in a default space with themselves and with you, well, it's just going to be like a reactive back and forth energy that's going to be happening. And like, again, is that energy forwarding and giving, or is it energy taking and draining? Like for me, it's a real worthwhile, just for the sake of yourself, to have a certain way you interact with the people around you. And again, not from a fake place, not from a inauthentic place, not from a trying to be somebody place. No, from something really authentic and honest, but just a preset place where you get to source yourself from, because you actually said it matters. It matters to you. It matters for the human you are, and it matters as an expression you are, and it matters for the people around you. And, you're doing it because it has an importance and relevance to you, and not out of anything you're expecting to get or receive. This is, again, for your own self, for your own energy, for your own well-being, for your own moment-to-moment being with life, for your availability to be with life and yourself, for, your own peace of mind, for, your own, self-expression and moment-to-moment living, for your life giving, really. So I do want to preface all of this on, like, none of this is to look a certain way. It is really for you to ascertain your own values and come from your values and know yourself coming from your values. Because when you're dictating to yourself, these are my values and I'm going to true up to my values and these values matter to me, it's a really fantastic feedback loop where you do feel in the driver's seat of your life. You do see your values win the day and not the reactions around you win the day. And again, there is a real energy cost when we're ongoingly in a reactive state, or a default state, which tends to cue up reactions. So if you're in a default or a reaction state, there can just be a drain. There can just be something that we're continually always like chaotically bouncing off inside of. So we're missing out on the opportunity then to actually have energy giving, energy forwarding, connection. And then also too, like, whether you're aligned with this or you want it, I know for myself it's important, but if we do have a say moment to moment of the kind of human that we can show up as, and if we do have a say that we can be energy forwarding, and it's actually energy forwarding for me, and it could actually be energy forwarding for that other person, why wouldn't I? So there you are with the source document started underway. Again, just the initial part started with the first section is, who are you for yourself? How do you promise to treat yourself? What kind of relationship are you out to have with yourself? And get excited about it. Get interested in it and get invested in it, because it's a worthwhile experience. And then the second part is that taking a look at, who are you for other people? How do you want to treat other people? How do you want to show up around other people? What do you want to leave other people with? And you can create your why. Like, why is that important to you? Why does that matter to you? And again, you get to say who the other people are. If making it a general, this is how I'm going to just treat everybody just because they're human, is a bit of a reach for yourself. At least look for the important people in your life and the close people to you, your family, your loved ones, your dear ones. Take a look at the close people to you, and what kind of human do you want to be? And, I am of the belief, like, it does start with us. There we are, and there we are. We get a say in who we are. We get a say in how we are. We get a say in how we know ourselves. And this is such an investment into the relationship with yourself. When you are clear on your values and who you are as a human and how you want to interact with other humans, it's a really great starting point to build a really beautiful relationship with yourself and to start sourcing yourself from here. And it helps navigate your ways through relationships and the people around you. Again, the caveat again always is you are an autonomous, free agent of a being that gets to advocate for themselves. Include yourself always. You know, your main job, you are accountable and responsible for yourself and to yourself. And it's really important to always nourish yourself and nourish yourself first. And that is crucial. So please always take great dear care of yourself. Treat yourself fantastic. Foster that fantastic relationship with yourself, that dear, beautiful, sacred relationship with yourself, and start expanding that into, the invitation today is really expanding that into how you treat other people as well, and include that in. This might be a conversation that you've already mastered and you are masterful in. And this might be a conversation that you're brand new in thinking and you're not even sure if you're on board. Meet yourself right where you are. Take a look and try it on and see what value it might give you. And if anything, it does give you an idea of what is important to you. It also does point to, I guess this is actually a side note, but also one of the great reasons of, taking on how you actively want to treat people around you is there you are, you show up in this way that, you have deemed how you want to treat people, and other stuff is there. You're frustrated, you're rah, you're ja. Meet yourself right where you are, be true to yourself, be authentic with yourself, but it also will give you some good information of, what are some of your activations? What are some of your triggers? What are some of your default ways of being? What are some of your patterns of behavior? What are some of the learnings you might want to take on? What is some of the work that there is to do to develop yourself or, expand yourself and grow yourself for the sake of yourself, not for any other reason other than just for the sake of your own satisfaction and fulfillment, your own joy and happiness, the level of connection that you can experience with yourself and others. Like, you really get to grow and expand that. And the more availability, in my opinion, that we can connect and expand our relationships with ourselves and with others and with life and with the interactions with life, and be available to the what happenings of life and to move with it, to accept it, but grow with it. There's a lot of satisfaction available on the other side of that. There's a lot available to you that makes it really worthwhile. So wherever you are, there you are. And the invitation is to go be out and have a great relationship with yourself, and go be out and, state what kind of human you're interested to be with other humans, the people that are important to you, and also the people that are just all around everywhere in the background and in the foreground. You do get to say who you are, and how you show up. You at least get a starting point to say that, and then you get to true up to that and navigate yourself through that. And again, never bypassing. Please meet yourself right where you are as an opportunity to arms around, dear friend, for yourself, and to love yourself up, cultivate yourself, and grow yourself to rise and to reach. Okay, that's all for today. So thank you for the sake of ourselves.